Salut! For 50 days, Ryan, Trahan, and Haley are going to all 50 states, and for each state that they are going to, I am reading a book that happens in that state. Today, they went to West Virginia, and we were prepared because Ryan said in the previous video that they were going here, and I have been listening to an audiobook that takes place in West Virginia, so we were all kinds of prepared. And I think we'll just hop right into it. The book for this state that I finished, My Name is River by Wendy Dunham. I found this book because my mom found it. West Virginia was one of the states I haven't read a book for as far as I know, so I gave that to her as a state to find a book for. I believe she probably gave me 2 or 3 options, and when I saw that this one was a 3.5-hour audiobook on Hoopla about a girl who was adopted, I was like, sold, let's go. Set, put in the borrowed part of Hoopla, good to go. And as Ryan and Haley were getting closer to West Virginia, I started it at some point, and I finished the last 50 minutes, 45 minutes, somewhere in there today. I've never read a book by this author before, so we got new author, new state, what the book is about. Of course, it's about a girl named River. She was adopted, and then shortly after she was adopted, her new parents basically handed her off to her now adopted grandmother and were like, here, and then disappeared. So River was raised by her grandma, who at around the point that River was 12 or 13, the start of this book, was like, let's move to West Virginia. So they moved to West Virginia, and when they're there, River befriends this pastor's kid named Billy. They become best of friends, and I think that's about as much as I can share without spoilers. I suppose the only other thing I could probably say is it's about River's time in West Virginia, like her life and a few other important things that come up in the few months that this book spans. I was really enjoying this book. I did enjoy this book. Just to kind of give you an idea of my feelings of, it's like a roller coaster. We're just opening with that. It felt like a roller coaster. Because I'm starting out with this book, and it was a great time for a long while. Like, her grandma is just really fun, and she loves River. And, you know, they're going on this adventure of moving to West Virginia, and River meets Billy, her new friend, and she gets to learn about him. There's also elements of River and her grandma learning about Jesus and coming to faith, so there's a lot of faith elements in there, and lots of middle grade fun stuff. And River herself was just such a likable character. Actually, there were just a lot of likable characters. I loved River, I loved her grandma, I loved Billy and his family. I mean, there was just a lot of likable characters in here. So yeah, I was vibing with the feel of the book, and then this really sad thing happens. And I was like, wow, that felt kind of out of nowhere, but that's okay. I'm like, it's okay. I'm like, we're all right. We're like back on track. And then another sad thing kind of like pops up, but then it was like, oh no, like we're good now. And I thought we were just gonna cruise through the last 45 minutes. And I was expecting a reveal of River's biological parents, not her adopted parents, but her biological ones. I was pretty certain I knew who at least one of her parents were. So I'm like, okay, yeah, we got 45 minutes to, you know, probably get redemption for one character, maybe see a bit more faith growth stuff and reveal of River's parent probably, and then her emotions and thoughts about all that. Makes sense. 45 minutes, we got this. And oh my word, this book just like got so sad. It got really sad, you guys. I cried so much, like a lot of tears. I was so confident that the last 45 minutes were going to be pretty chill. I just, you know, put in the AirPods, started listening to it. I'm doing the dishes, and then this thing happens, and sobbing, just sobbing. I was looking for a dish in our pantry, and I couldn't find it anywhere, but I was also crying, and I was just like, okay, you know what? The dishes need to pause, because this book Wow. So I was not expecting the book to be that sad. It was definitely realistic, and I will also say it ended rather abruptly, in my opinion. When it ended, I really went into my phone and went to Hoopla. I'm like, there's no way this is the end. Like there is no way that it just ends there. So then I went to Goodreads to see if My Name is River is in a series, and it is. There's a sequel to it, Hope Girl, I think is what it was called. The synopsis definitely makes it seem, and based on other reviews that I kind of skimmed quickly, it seems as though the second book picks up right after where the first book left off. So it's a complete continuation. In which case, I feel like I haven't gotten the whole story, and I do want to read more when the challenge is over. And probably more slowly, as I'm expecting this next book to be sad as well, based on the synopsis and some of the reviews that were not spoilery, but just having an idea of what might be coming in book 2. I did love the characters a lot, and I do want to see what the end is going to be for them in this next book, because this first one just didn't feel like a conclusion. It really felt like I stopped in the middle of a book, which is making it difficult for me to put a rating on it because it feels unfinished. I love the characters. It was sadder than I thought. I want to keep reading though, because I feel like there's just so much more. So I might go 4 stars. At the moment, that's what I'm thinking. If I read the second book, it might change my opinion of the first one. That's where I'm at. I did learn a couple things about West Virginia, but before I go into that, this was kind of a fun thing for this challenge, at least, that I wanted to share. So before River and her grandma moved to West Virginia, they lived in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. And what's really fun about that for me is that you guys might know, if you've been watching the video so far, I have started up a book for Pennsylvania, knowing that Ryan and Haley are going to get there soon, probably, and I want a head start. The book that I am reading, set in Pennsylvania, is specifically set in Punxsutawney, and I was reading it at the same time listening to this audiobook. I still have like 100 pages left of the Pennsylvania one. But there were a lot of things that River said and the main character of the Pennsylvania book said about Punxsutawney that were the same, and that was just pretty cool. So the things I learned about West Virginia. The first one was that West Virginia has a state butterfly, and then I looked it up. Apparently a lot of states have state butterflies, like how there are state birds. I had no idea that state butterflies were a thing. So that was really cool, and now I want to look up to see what the butterflies are for the states. Then the second thing was, I learned what suet is. Birds were a big part of the whole story, and there was a part where Billy and River made their own suet for the birds. I didn't know what it was. And then today we went grocery shopping and we went to go get birdseed for our budget bird Kiwi, because he needed more birdseed. And when we went to the birdseed area, there was suet right there. I was like, I just read about what this stuff is. That was really cool. So those aren't West Virginia specific, but they were things that I learned in the book, and I appreciated that. I've had quite a few nonfiction books lately, so I feel like I haven't talked about who my favorite character is in a book for a while. But my favorite character of this book, I think, would have to be Billy or River. River is a close second. They're both just such sweet kids and had such great personalities. So much could be said about both of them, and I loved just reading about them going through things that happened in the book. Y'all, it's so hard to keep this spoiler free. I can't even tell you. Something I thought was interesting about My Name is River is how she reacted to her name being River. At first I thought it was weird how she thought it was a strange name and other people thought it was a strange name. I think I just thought it was weird that they thought it was weird, because River from Doctor Who was like really popular when I was younger, And then I know of River Robertson. Jet Robertson's son is named River. And I have known of those two rivers for quite a long time, so I'm like, River's not that weird of a name. But there was another aspect of River's name in this book that seemed a bit more, like it made more sense to me why it was weird to her and other people. And then there was such meaning that came to it later that was really impactful, and I loved it a lot. So I get it now. I get why the whole her name being River was a thing. I get it. Yep. For the first ranking, of course, we have adult nonfiction, adult fiction, youth nonfiction, and youth fiction. And this is a middle grade fiction book, so it would fall under youth fiction. Currently, the #1 spot of youth fiction is Imagination Station, book 18, set in Missouri. Up against My Name is River, I'm gonna have to keep Imagination Station at #1. Of course, I did like My Name is River. It's just so sad. Imagination Station was such a fun time and had such Magic Tree House vibes. It's gotta say at #1. Now for the overall ranking, it's hard not knowing what else happens in book 2. Okay, I think I'm gonna put it at 17. Higher than Oceans Apart, but under Showdown. Which honestly, if I were to read Showdown now, the ranking might be a bit different. I'm just going with 17. Higher than Oceans Apart because Oceans Apart just got a bit cheesy sometimes and maybe a bit unrealistic, whereas this one, My Name is River, definitely was realistic and not cheesy. So I'm gonna give that one a bit more points for that. Number 17 it goes. And don't forget, you guys, there's a link down below that you guys can vote of all the books that I have read so far as to which book is your favorite, and we can see what the community vote is for the books. The reading strategy. I was thinking earlier today that because they're in the New England area, we're in a strange position that it seems to me all of the states are danger states. Up until this point, I've been trying to stick with, the surrounding states. But now that they're in West Virginia, technically they could hit so many different states because of skipping over different states. Especially if they get to like Connecticut or New York, it's like, well, even if they're in Jersey, if they're in Jersey, they could just skip right past every state that's right there and go to Maine. Every state feels like a danger state. What's nice though is that there's quite a few books I've already read in the surrounding states and some books that I can read in one day. So Ohio, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, those are all states that I can read in one day. Did I say Delaware? I can read that one in one day. At the moment, the big danger states of New England for me are Pennsylvania and Maine. I have, I think, 150 pages left of the Pennsylvania book, so technically I could finish that one in one day. And actually, I think that might be the amount of pages of the Rhode Island book that I have. I have to double check my page count though. And then for Maine, I was going to do this one book that I was actually reading before this challenge started. I have about 25% of it left. So I'm like, I can read that in one day. But as I was thinking about it, I'm like, I don't know, maybe I would want to pick a different book for Maine. And then I realized a book that we got at a thrift store recently happens in Maine and has an amnesia trope in it. I was like, okay. So I want to try that one for Maine. It's about 330 pages. I only just got it off my shelf today. I think it's out there in the living room somewhere. Because they're in West Virginia, I don't think they're gonna drive all the way to Maine tomorrow, especially since Ryan said that a lot of their drives that are coming up are really small, like 1 to 3 hours. I don't think a person can get to Maine in 3 hours from West Virginia. Those are the strategies. I'm basically going to be focusing on Pennsylvania and Maine, unless they get to one of the few states that I mentioned that I would have to basically binge in one day. That is the strat. That is all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below if you're watching Ryan's series and what your favorite Airbnb is so far. Also, don't forget to vote for what your favorite book has been in the 50 states challenge so far. Let me know what you're currently reading. I would love to talk book stuff in the comments down below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Ciao!